Hello. Welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you've never been here, I'm so glad that you decided to take the click and see what it's about. I am a very strong believer in God sends us where he wants us to go. I have not always been that way. If you take a poke around, you will definitely see. But I have come to learn to follow that, and I try to follow that wherever it takes me. So I'm glad that it took you here today. I hope that you get something out of it and that he speaks to you exactly the way that he wants you to hear him. I came on before and I shared a story about my faith as small as a mustard seed, and not just what it was, but what it when it became relevant to me, when I really understood what it meant. Um, and It all started with a wonderful necklace that Reverend Dream and Miss Tammy over on Reverend Dream's channel sent to me, uh, and 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 that goes to prove that God speaks, because we don't always know the details in our journey, each other's journeys, right? And when they sent me this, that was my proof that God was speaking, that I'm in the right spot, that I'm on the right path, and I'm surrounding myself with exactly who I need to. And I thank God for that. I feel like He has picked people to send my way, and I appreciate it. It's a really good video. If you are at all curious about it, you should go check it out. You really do, and I hope it speaks. Um, but before um, I knew, before the mustard seed became such a strong constant thing in my life, a reminder. It's more of a confirmation, a residual confirmation. Um, it was this poem that I just never understood, and it was the Footprints in the Sand poem. And at the risk of sounding naive or just blonde, um, I never understood that those footprints weren't mine. I mean, even after reading the poem and the verses that inspired it, um, you would think, but I never understood that those were not my feet in the picture. And so it took going through what I did with the adoption and the 7 months and every day afterwards to really understand exactly what that poem meant, what those verses meant, what that picture means. So I hope that if there's anybody out there that has felt the way I did, doesn't understand it, um, I hope that it speaks. I hope that by the time we're done, you understand it a little bit better. And yeah, so I hope that you enjoy it. And yeah, you would think that I had it pulled up here, huh? Have you ever felt completely alone? Like no one was there for you, especially during the hardest moments of your life. I have been there too. But today, I want to share something that changed everything for me. It's a story about how God carried me, even when I didn't realize it. By the end of this, I hope that you will start to see how He's carried you too. When I was little, my grandparents had a poem called Footprints in the Sand hanging on their door. I must have stared at that poem 1,000 times growing up. But to be honest, I didn't understand it. It says that during the hardest moments, God doesn't leave us, He carries us. I could not see that. I thought, if He's carrying me, why is life so hard? Why do bad things happen? Why do they keep happening? Still, something in me knew that poem was important. I even carried a copy of it with me for years, feeling like one day it would all make sense. Deep down inside, every time I read that, I stared at it, completely confused. But at the same time, I felt like it was calling to me. Like, one day you will understand. One day it will all make sense. And let me tell you, it did. But it took time. Fast forward to one of the hardest moments of my life, placing my child up for adoption. It was a decision that broke me in ways I can't even explain. For months, I felt lost, hurt, and honestly abandoned by God. Then one day, in the middle of my pain, I looked up and said, "Okay, God, let's do this your way." That moment didn't take the pain away, but it changed everything. It was like God was wrapping his arms around me and whispered, "I've got you." That's when I realized he's been carrying me the entire time. Not just in that moment, but throughout my whole life. As I look back now on my life, I see all the times that God carried me. Times I thought I was alone, times I thought he had abandoned me. And yet I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still here to now speak in his name. Yes, bad things happen, but so many things didn't happen that could have. God was protecting me even when I couldn't see it. It reminds me of what God says in Deuteronomy 1:31. The Lord your God carried you as a father carries his son. Or in Isaiah 46:4, where he promises, I have made you and I will carry you. I will sustain you and I will rescue you. That's exactly what he's done for me. And I believe it's what he's doing for you too. Take a moment right now. Think back to a time in your life when you felt like you couldn't go on. Was there something or someone that got you through it? Maybe a friend showed up at just the right time, or a door opened when you needed it the most. What if those moments weren't coincidences? What if that was God carrying you? Sometimes it's like being wrapped up in a bubble of protection, not keeping the storms away, but making sure they don't destroy you. He doesn't promise to take the pain away, but he promises to walk with us through it, and sometimes to carry us when we can't walk at all. I want to leave you with this. Every time I wrap myself up with my blanket with that poem, I remember just how much God loves me. He didn't leave me, He was carrying me then, and He's carrying you now. The next time you feel like you're walking alone, remember God might just be carrying you. Ask Him to show you, and I promise you He will. Take some time today to reflect on your journey. Think about all the ways God has carried you. And if you've never read the Footprints in the Sand poem, I hope it means as much to you as it does to me. And if you need to hear, those are not your footprints. Those are not your footprints. Those are His. He is carrying you. I know sometimes I would say you need to draw me a picture, but clearly, sometimes it takes something very, very dramatic, and sometimes it can be something very swift and not huge at all. But I hope that you grow to understand exactly what this poem represents, what it truly means. And I hope that you learn to recognize that, just like I do. And until then, I will see you when I see you.